On today's episode of Wrong Side, the Celtics death machine marches on as they go up 2-0 at the time of this recording. Give a little update on the Stanley Cup Finals as well, with the Oilers up 1-0. Touch on the coaching carousel. The Lakers have been in the news with Dane Hurley and JJ Redick potentially coming to town. We got a great interview with Brad Seymour talking Bulls, talking business, basketball, and getting a lot of experience early in your career. So that was a great interview we have coming for you guys. And then we're wrapping it up with Outside the Line and Tone Deaf Person of the Week. Let's do it.
Welcome on back to Wrong Side. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. It's currently June 9th. This is coming out on June 12th. Joey, how are we doing? What's been going on this week?
Been doing good. It was another lazy Sunday after a big weekend out in the city. Feels good to be back. I would say I'm pretty much 90% recovered after vacation, big week. Feels good to be back. Starting to get into a little more of a routine. Had the usual suspects down, spending the night on Saturday. Did a little more day drinking down in West Loop, which it was good to get out of Wrigleyville for a little bit, start exploring the city. So that was nice. Definitely a little more pricey down there, but feels good. Feels like I'm falling into a little bit more of a routine now that I actually have some food in my fridge and am back from vacation and kind of are set at home for the time being,
Do
at
we
least.
do we think it feels more like a resident now? Do you feel like you're living in the city a little more? Like, are the vibes starting to get a little better? It's summertime now. What are the vibes like?
Vibes are good. It was kind of cloudy over this last week, so that kind of sucked. But I'm shaking off the rust. Like I haven't been big into going out since I've been back at home. A lot of my friends still are like that, but since being here and even being back for like the last week, like Saturday afternoon rolls around, I'm like, all right, like what are the plans? Who's coming in? A little more social. A couple other people, some people from high school we saw this week that I haven't seen in a while, but they live in the city too, so it was good to reconnect with old friends there. But vibes are high. Looking forward to the summer. Going to be home for Father's Day and a couple other things for the rest of this month. But rooftop bars, baseball games, being just, it's been good. It's been really good.
How does the jumper look when you're out at the bar? Still can get the drinks down? How are the hangovers? What's your active status like?
The hangovers are definitely getting worse. I'm
Worse.
powering through them. A little more Advil than I may have used back in college, and the pre recovery is as important as the post recovery. Proper hydration, proper food, which I have not been doing at all. I'm not in mid season form when it comes to any of that, but I'm starting to get back, so it's been solid. But work was. I think we both said it. It was kind of a sustain and survive week last week in terms of
Absolutely.
work and just like life in general. So it was good to make it through there relatively unscathed. After 2 weeks off of work, like we said, like I had 400 emails coming back. It was weird to get back into the swing of things. But overall, we did survive last week. So now it's time to get back in the gym, maybe hit the range a couple times before golfing with dad on Father's Day. But yeah, feeling good to be back. How about you?
Yeah, feeling good. Still early into the summer season, I would say. Summer kind of kicks off Memorial Day weekend, so probably still in those first couple weeks. We're getting the jumpers down, the golf swings ready to go. Everything's still in tune-up mode. Load management season, but week was good. Got to definitely relax a little with some training this week. Didn't have to do as much. This upcoming week, gonna be a little more busy with school, exam, just get or not school, work, exam, and doing everything there and just kind of getting back in the swing of things. But it was nice to kind of just relax. Definitely caught something on the way back from Minnesota, whether it was like a sickness or something. Monday, Tuesday had awful head congestion. But
Oh,
after that, just kind of battled through the rest of the week, relaxed, did some studying, and kind of a chill weekend. My mom is busy next weekend. She's going out of town the next week after that. And then some of our other outside family are busy next week. So we did an early Father's Day, did that today. So we're always seem to be doing the holidays either a day before or a week before. But that was great today. And now we're just getting ready for the next week. Just another week of the plate, getting ready to go.
so for work, a lot of my some of my other friends are in audit at other accounting firms in the city, and now that busy season's over for them at least, like they're like randomly traveling, like they are a completely different people now that busy season's kind of over. Are you all wrapped up there? Do you have any trips coming up for work plan? What's that going
Yeah,
on?
I mean, it's kind of dependent on like teams and stuff. I actually have one client that's a private client that's still not finished, which is like a disaster, but like it's basically in the final stages. Other than that, I think it's all kind of dependent on how intense your public team is. Like some teams like want to hit deadlines by the day, some want to hit it by the week, and it just kind of based on that. But yeah, I would definitely say it's a little less intense, definitely, especially me. Like this weekend, I'm going away this weekend, so like I'm leaving Thursday night. I'll just do a little work on Friday while I'm in the city, doing that.
Mhm.
And then I'm pretty sure at our firm they said so it's a 6:30 like year end at these accounting firms, and then which most
Okay.
companies I feel like are in this stage, but 6:30 year end, and then basically what happens is they have promotion, so people go from associate to senior, senior to manager, that kind of stuff. But from promotion day, which is the 21st, I think. That's 2 weeks from, or a week and a half away now. From that day till Labor Day, every Friday, if you work a little more from Monday through
Yeah.
Thursday, you can get like a half day on Friday. So like some people take that where like you work an extra hour every day, Monday through Thursday, and you get like off at noon on Friday. So some people do that. So I think a lot of people though take their summer vacations and relax. I know Moops, for example, who works for an audit firm, he's going on vacation for a couple weeks now, and then a majority of accounting firms also give you the entire week of July 4th off.
Yeah.
So that's going to be
Yeah, my
great.
friend said that too. I was jealous of
That's going
that
to be
one.
great. And it's actually a full week. So, like, you also get the week off between Christmas and New Year's on the first. But, like, it could be a Tuesday to Tuesday. But this year, they're giving you Monday to Friday off. So, like, we're off the 28th at like
Oh,
3.
that's
And
big.
then
Yeah.
you don't get back till that, like, 2 Mondays later. So that'll be great. But the
That's
accounting world
awesome.
definitely is different in the summer.
So now that I know you said you still have a couple things to finish up, definitely still in the heat of exams and everything, but most of your way through your first busy season, is it as bad as everyone makes it out to be? How are you feeling now that you're kind of on the back end of it?
It's definitely interesting. There's some weeks I know that some people make fun, like, oh, it's busy season, like it's only like 80 hours a week, 60 to 80 hours. Like, yeah, and like, there's some fields where you might work more, medical fields that, give them their
Yeah.
props. They work more all the time. But I think it's very interesting to see how teams kind of work together. And I think I saw a different side of people the way we were like working, like not in a bad way always. It could have been a good way too, but just like some people were good about hitting their deadlines, some guys were bad, and you saw which people were kind of like reliable, and that was good. Then you have certain situations where you kind of jump into things, and like I joined the team late, so like for example, this upcoming year, I just joined the team, but it's still fairly early. But
Mm.
I'm still kind of getting my feet under me. I don't know a lot about prior year, and I'm in these meetings kind of taking more notes now versus like my other team that I was on, two of my teams that I was on that were private clients that I was working on for the whole year. I was doing them the whole time, and then when we got new people on them, I was able to like kind of teach them versus being the person who is being
Yeah.
taught. And I think I saw like you see certain things during busy season, but I think it is bad. It's not great. Like no one wants to do this. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
reason the public accounting life is like an average of 3 4 years. So there's a reason of that. But I definitely think it varies week by week. It
That
depends. The word "it depends" like I think is a common answer in accounting. So it depends would be a good answer for this question.
I like it. I think that's interesting that you said like the cream of the crop kind of rises during busy season. Like, yeah, I know you guys kind of not shut down in the summer, but it's
Yeah.
really light in the summer. But busy season, you see like what stress really does to people, what those long hours do. Again, not that anybody wants to work 60, 80 hours a week, but I think that's huge, especially for first years, like we've talked about before. Like you don't really know what you're signing up for. You hear about busy season and audit and public accounting, but until you're there working 80 hours a week, you're at the office at 10 o'clock on a Friday. Like you don't really know how you're going to handle it. So it's probably big from like a manager's perspective too, which it's kind of like the fourth quarter. You got to see who rises to the challenge.
Absolutely. And I think like one thing that I'm seeing now is now that I'm done with busy season and like in a new year, I'm starting with like a new or just like it's a new audit for the next for fiscal year 24. One thing that is like interesting now is like when I started in October, you kind of jump in like the third, fourth quarter,
Yeah.
where you're kind of like we
Mhm.
have a couple little time to prep, and then come January, like we're gonna hit the ground running. Now it's like I'm learning things that like kind of were already done by the time I joined. So I'm learning like how to do walkthroughs and do it the correct way through the process. And it's a lot easier, I think, now seeing like how things are done and why things are done versus this has been done and you have to figure out things off of that. And I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
one
big.
thing that's like, okay, that's like one thing that I've picked up that like it's a lot easier to start from step one than to jump in at step 10. And I think that's like
That's
one
big.
thing you don't really think about when your job starts. But now, I don't know, it was like a small thought I had because someone asked me how my new team was. And I was like, oh, it's good. I just think there's like some things now that I'm like understanding a little more because I've like gotten more experience and now I know why we're doing it.
Yeah, it's important to see the full picture and like start from step one as opposed to like you said, like picking up like who knows what the guy last year did and what that
Yeah,
stuff looks like. I thought, yeah, the same thing kind of happened. There were some layoffs in the company and just some like people moving around. So I had to like pick up projects like halfway through. And I have my way of like organizing files, stuff like
right.
that. And it's way easier to start from zero when I know where everything is than try and piece together someone else's work. So I feel that for sure.
Yeah, even this week, I was working on something for like one of our walkthroughs, and I was looking at the notes, and I like pinged the girl who did it, and she's still on the team, but she just like was doing it while she was like on a call, like writing her notes down. And I was, hey, just curious, like, am I missing something here? Like, might be a dumb question, but like, just wanted to look this over with you. And she was like, no, no, like she's like, leave that column for me. Like, I'll do that one because like no one else. She's like, I don't blame you for not understanding it. It was in like
Yeah.
language I knew, like acronyms I knew, like shit like that. So I was like, that kind of stuff. I absolutely agree. It's a lot easier when it's in your hands the whole way and you're taking it step by step versus like halfway through.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
But no, that's good. Mhm.
yeah, yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, but that's kind of where we're at now with work. So it's been nice, and now it's summertime, and get to kind of relax, watch sports, see friends, and yeah, that's really what's going on. Stanley Cup just wrapped up game one. At this point, game two is gonna be Monday, so we'll miss game two recap. But really quick update on there. Florida wins 3-0. Kind of an interesting game. Edmonton dominated shots on goal. McDavid did not score. And they kind of had a Bobrovsky crazy game, winning 3-0. Incredible saves. Everything was him. And winning 3-0 at home. Great start. Did you see the fan by chance? The Florida Panthers fan who was like 11 years old. Did you see that today?
Yeah, with the boot.
Yes, with the boot, and we're
Did he
just going nuts.
Yeah,
Like, so,
he's a real one.
I mean, like that's a great city, and they have the experience, like we talked about last week. It's going to be very fascinating to see. But Edmonton does score a lot, but they've had a problem at goalie the entire playoff run. So it'll be interesting to see if they can grab one in Florida before heading back.
Yeah, that'd be big. I know the shot disparity was huge. Edmonton had a ton more shots, but Florida was able to convert them. It's games like that where it'll be curious to see how they come out in game two because obviously you want to get shots on net. That's huge. Time of possession, huge. And it seems like they kind of accomplished a lot of those things, but obviously it doesn't reflect on the scoreboard. So realistically, what I'm hoping at least is the conversation is, hey, pretty much do the same thing we did in game one, and
Get it
let's
in the
just hope
net.
some of those shots, yeah, find the back of the net for sure.
I
So
didn't see the
we'll
Oilers.
see.
I
Yeah,
didn't see the Oilers super fan. So maybe she needs to get
bad
out there.
luck. Yeah,
Yeah, bad
she
luck.
was on
So
spitting chiclets.
I saw that. I did see that
I,
actually.
I bar- I barely watched that. Like, I saw a clip of it on Instagram or something, and she was wearing like a hat and big sunglasses. They're like, "What's up?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm still like trying to like basically trying to hide her identity because she's blown up so much," which I thought was funny. But that was pretty much all I saw from that interview.
Yeah, so we'll see. And then the Brooks Koepka meme of him just looking like cracked out. So you have two great memes now that are going head to head in the finals. So going to be interesting to
Yeah.
see who raises the cup the rest of the week. And by next week, we should be through 3 or 4 games. So it should be a pretty
Yeah.
interesting series by the end of the next episode. So looking forward to that. Uh, you mentioned it in our intro, the Celtics. They march on. Thoughts
The
through
death
two.
machine marches on. I We talked about how we were hoping this was going to be a good series for ball, a good series for defense, and I'd like to say it kind of has, but it's been tough to watch for the fan. The way the Celtics have been playing defense, especially, has been super super effective. Like not helping on Luca at all. Basically saying like, yeah, if you can make a ton of tough floaters, a ton of tough mid rangers, like go get your 30 or more. But They're
That's
not.
it.
PJ Washington had a pretty good game, but Kyrie was non-existent again. They're not giving up those open threes. The centers, both Gafford, Lively, pretty much non-existent too. There were a couple transition lobs. They did get a couple of them that I don't think they had any lobs to their centers in game one, and pretty quick timeouts for Joe Mazzulla after that. They were very adamant about not giving up that play, not
He's
giving up the
fucking
corner
nuts.
three.
Missoula is
Yeah,
nuts. He's a nuts
I
dude.
gotta respect it. Because I mean, the Mavericks just look incredibly uncomfortable. Like Luca has been pretty solid, like not complaining a ton. But he's the best player in the series still. But if he's going to be the only player in this series, the Celtics are definitely going to win. And on offensively, they're just insane too. So 2 games in, I don't think there's been anything in my dumb brain that I've seen that the Mavericks can capitalize on. But still first to four. So hopefully back in Dallas they can make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. Definitely hurting to see that we're potentially 2 games closer to the Celtics taking the lead. Could be 18-17 versus the Lakers. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's incredible. The Celtics are a very, very well put together team. Kind of seems like I know Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is the Porzingis. Porzingis is new this year too, right? This is his first year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, I was like, I feel like this team's fairly similar, but you're right. It's Porzingis and Drew Holiday. So it's just I mean, it's a well-oiled machine. They had 5 different players in double figures, and or no, yeah, 5 different players in double figures. 4 of those 5 had at least 15. Two
And
had
they didn't even shoot the three well today.
they went 10 for 39 from three. I mean, realistically, not 25% is not great. And Dallas
Nope.
hasn't been shooting the three well at all either game. They shot 23% today, 6 for 26. But I mean, it's truly remarkable that how well they're playing. And game two, guess what? It wasn't Jason Tatum again. It was the Drew Holiday game. Drew Holiday, 11 for 14 from the field, 2 for 4 from three, 11 rebounds and 26 points. I mean,
He was insane. The rebounds
incredible.
were especially important. They got a lot of offensive rebounds on the Mavs that gave him a lot of second chance points too. I think Tatum did have 10 assists. I think the more I've been watching him, the
He had
more I've
12
decided he
assists,
actually
9 rebounds, and
yeah.
18 points. But he was
He
6 for
he's
22 from the field.
he sucks on offense. He's a good basketball player, but he's not Kobe like um Jason Kidd was right earlier in the week. Jalen Brown, I think,
I
is the best
I
player on
thought
their team.
I thought Jalen or Jason Kidd was like I thought he was just gonna get it enough. Like I thought he was gonna
Yeah.
try to divide a wedge because everyone was saying they were like maybe Jason Tatum's gonna try and win the game, try and do it his way. And to be honest, it kind of looks like he did with 22 shots, but
Yeah.
it didn't work. They ended up winning the game 1-7, but then it seemed like the whole Celtics kind of rallied around the drama and said, "Oh yeah, who cares? I'll be the best player. He's
Oh
the
yeah,
best player."
there's
But it's sickening to watch. You kind of said it. You said it perfectly a couple days ago through text. But you were like, they just look like off, and it looks like gross, disinterested. And
yeah.
Luca looks like sloppy. Like he's not the most good looking guy on the court when he plays. He's kind of got that like schlubby 24-hour fitness look. But
Yeah.
he still had 32, 11, and 11, 4 threes, 12 for 21 from the field. Like he still does it every week. But Kyrie,
Yep.
7 for 18. Gafford was okay, 6 for 9. PJ Washington had 1 3. Like PJ Washington was hitting those threes series after series this playoff run. Without that, you're going to get hurt. And I don't know. I don't want to say it's going to be a sweep because I hope not. But
Yeah.
something needs to change heavy. And I don't really know. I think there's going to be. And what the worst part is, like, the Celtics have had bad games in the playoffs and shot 25% from three, but they've lost. You've now lost that game they've given you, basically.
Right. Yeah, and
So
that happened to the Pacers too. The Celtics tried to give away a couple games. The Pacers gave them away even more. And this, like, they also have so many guys that just know what to do when the ball is in their hand. They don't have a one-trick pony. Like, PJ Washington did do pretty good scoring in the paint today, but he's usually a corner three guy. Like, he's not in his rhythm there. You got Gafford and Lively not getting the lob. So what are they even doing out there on offense? Meanwhile, the Celtics, it doesn't matter if it's Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, even Kristaps and a couple of those other guys off the bench. Like, everyone knows what to do when the ball is in their hands. When they're on offense, the ball seems to have energy and like move around the court with purpose and like vision. Where the Mavs are just kind of like
Luka scored the ball.
stumbling through their offensive possession, ending with a tough Luka shot.
And what's crazy to me, it was 109-87 game one. and then today was 105.98. I feel like also like in the day and age we're playing in, like I can't remember the last time a team in the NBA Finals scored less than 100 points in two straight games. Maybe that's like a crazy
Yeah.
stat. Maybe I'm like way off. Maybe that happens a lot in the NBA Finals because defense is better. But like, seems like kind of insane that like that happened because like you see a high. I think it's like so crazy. Like the highlight of Lakers Celtics from that 2010 series. It's Game 7, and it's the fourth quarter, and it's like 55-62. Like
Oh yeah,
it's
those are insane.
it's just like insane highlights. So like you would think like you could score 100 points, especially in the finals, especially the Mavs who've kind of been rolling game after game. But the Celtics have dominated every aspect. It looks like it's going to be a sweep. I very much hope it is not, but I'm very nervous it will be.
Yeah, I don't love it. I think part of the low scoring could be shot attempts too. Like, yeah, Luca shot pretty good. A lot of their guys shot decent, but they had a couple dumb turnovers. A lot of the Celtics had a lot of second chance points, so just more possession. So I think that'd be interesting too. Like the Mavericks aren't playing bad. The Celtics are playing great defense, but the Mavs need like everything to go right
Yes.
and people to like
And
go
Tatum
up,
and
people to have a
Tatum
Drew
hasn't been
Holiday
great
game.
and
Yeah.
they keep winning. So, and I talking about the Celtics, I will say I don't know if you did see this tweet. This was from today at 5:33 Pacific time, so right around game time. The
Uh-huh.
account of the tweet, it's the real one, 183,000 followers. The last time it tweeted, um, the last time
Oh,
tweeted was a couple days ago was Bill Russell, the Bill Russell
yeah.
account. He tweeted, "Let's go Celtics." The comments were great, and then his wife ended up coming on the account. Like, to everyone who has reached out to this post, this is Bill's wife. Please stay tuned for some exciting announcements for my husband's legacy. Another great win tonight for the Celtics. And then the comments are great. Like, nice cover up. We know
Yeah.
it's you, Bill. Mavs in six, Granny. And then the one I saw, like I said to you, was like, they have Stream East. They have Stream East in heaven. Like,
That
so
was a good
great.
one.
But just incredible. Like, I think the Mavs, I mean, like obviously must win, but like I don't think it's must win. I think you got to win the next two at home. You
Agreed.
cannot go back to Boston 3-1. If it is not
For
tied,
sure.
the series is over. 3-1, Mavs team is 100% not good enough to come back from 3-1. I'll put the money down on it right now. Not good enough.
Would be a good thing to be wrong side about, but yeah, I
Would
agree with you
love to
for
be
sure.
wrong side, but yeah, I also didn't like that game one. They had like you know how stadiums do like the towels or t-shirts, but it was like every other. So
Yep.
it was an 18 design. I don't know if you saw that.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was gonna
Little
be
shot.
premature, but so far it doesn't look like it. So let's hope that it maybe still is. But from shifting from from one historic franchise to another, and because nobody wants to talk about the Celtics anymore, Lakers in the limelight heavily this week. Out of nowhere,
Yes.
shocks the world. 4 a.m. West Coast time. Woj drops a bomb on the fans. Dan Hurley up for the gig today. He said he came back from LA from an interview. A lot to think about. There was supposed to be a UConn team meeting as of Sunday. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He said he'd make this decision by tomorrow, most likely. But then also today, I saw Mark Stein from ESPN also reporting Jay Wright is potentially getting an interview this week, depending on the answer. So that would
Wow.
be interesting. Along with that, JJ Redick's still in the mix. A lot of coaches still in the mix. Big headline. What are your first thoughts before I give mine as a local league
I'm curious what you have to say because obviously you're closer to this. I think I would personally not be happy if it was JJ or Hurley for kind of different reasons. I think JJ Redick has made a really great career over the last couple of years with the podcast, with the way he announces games. I think he's a
right?
very intelligent analyst that we don't have a lot of, and I would hate to lose him. Um, and then Hurley, um, I don't think his game would translate. I think he's an absolute basketball psycho. He's made for the college game. The college game is also like schematically just a lot different than NBA with players playing a lot more one on one in the NBA.
Play
Hurley feels like
setup.
a guy who isn't. Yeah, never. Hurley seems like a guy who doesn't any. Doesn't matter if it's a February in Indiana. Like he doesn't want to drop a game. So I think like that level of intensity works in college. I don't know how it's going to work in the pros with grown men. And also for both of them, like coaching both like stars and celebrities in their own rights, and kind of for anybody looking that's getting interviewed for the Lakers, who wants to coach this Lakers team and LeBron right now? There's just so much extra headache, extra LeBron of it all, and stuff like that. So especially with Hurley and Redick, who are both like solid in their own fields and have had a ton of success in what they're doing lately, I don't know why you would want to take on that headache.
So before I give my thoughts, if you don't think you'd hire either of them, who would you hire? Like, who is your choice then?
I have no idea. I don't even know like who's out there as far as like the rest of the pro coaches. I am a little hesitant on. I didn't hear about Jay Wright until you had just said it, but that's another guy where he's old school college basketball. Like, can he jump to the NBA with the way it is now? And not that he like doesn't have the basketball acumen or the ability to be successful at that level, but especially with the age of LeBron and this Lakers team, like, or are you planning to win now? I think that kind of depends on what your answer is. I think a college coach will take a couple of years to adjust to the league, and it's nice that you have LeBron and even AD, who is a solid, who is like an older
They
guy at
can
this
get you
point.
to the playoffs.
Yeah, and just even like helping with that transition, like being a lot of that team, the Lakers are returning players, so it's a solid locker room already. Like there's nothing crazy there, but I think if you want to win with LeBron, where it looks like he's kind of 1 foot out the door at any given moment, are you going to hire a coach who may take a couple of years to pan out, or a first time coach in JJ Redick?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think there's valid concerns for everyone. From the JJ side, he hasn't even coached a NJB team or like a rec team. Like he hasn't coached
He coaches
anything.
his 8-year-old kid, I think, is what he's
So,
currently up to.
so like there's that. And from the Dan Hurley side, I think it's very interesting to see because like I personally am kind of same way. I still don't know if I would hire anybody outside of those two, but I have my concerns either way. I think from the JJ side, I think we're kind of now at the age where we're starting to see people coach like, well, let me take this back. LeBron is different and he's like an outcast in a way that he's played how long? So like now he's
Right.
going like there could be a coach that potentially gets a job that he has played against, which is rare. That could rarely happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I don't know about is that I don't know if they will like transition from that podcast friendship to player coach well or how it will react. Not so much about like will they keep the podcast going, but you don't want to see LeBron and him just like hanging out on the side now. Like now
Yeah.
you have to still have some divide of power in my opinion. Like for example, Chauncey Billups, for example, is a new coach for the Blazers. He's still someone who I pretty sure played against LeBron. He was still in the league. He's not coaching
Yeah.
LeBron, but nobody on that Blazers team was in the NBA. Very young team, never played against them, stuff like that. So there's a difference there. And you have like Monty Williams, Darvin Ham, even who's played in the league. Like I think actually Darvin Ham potentially may have played against LeBron as well. I don't know his career years. But you're at the point where, like, oh yeah, Darvin Ham last year was 2004, 2005. Maybe he played against LeBron like for a
Yeah.
sec. So like
Mhm.
you have that and the side of like friendship, same age, kind of different vibes. My problem with Dan Hurley is not so much I don't think he's a good coach because I think he's incredible. I think he's a
Yeah.
phenomenal coach, and I know for a fact he knows what he's doing. My problem with Dan Hurley is
For sure.
I don't know if that where he's at UConn translate well to where we're at with the Lakers. My point being is that when Kobe retired, that team was really bad. The team was bad
Yeah.
with Kobe. The last couple of years of
Mhm.
Kobe, we were really bad. But my concern about that is Dan Hurley always talks about development and winning and development and growing. And you know, he has that famous interview from a couple of years ago where he's like, "Get us now, we're going to
Yep.
get you soon." And he again goes on to win back-to-back times. So at that point in time, there was Julius Randle. You were going into those bad seasons of Ingram and Lonzo.
Lonzo.
You were gonna have young guys come through. Josh Hart, young guys come through the system that he would have developed, and that would have been a good team. I really do think so. Like you know, if, at that point in time, if you
Yeah, a
had
lot of
one,
those guys panned out.
right?
Mhm.
Well, not really. I mean, none of them have really panned out if you think about it. Like, anyways, side
All
point.
like all like they ended up being like all stars on, but regardless.
They did. Who? Brandon Ingram
Julius
once?
Randle, Lonzo Ball was great. Brandon Ingram is still like a number two option on his team. Like, yeah, I think he's not great, but like they're Josh Hart's had a great playoff run. Like, they're not bad. Like, it's not like they're
Yeah,
out of the
yeah.
league.
They're
Like,
not. Yeah, they're
they're
not. You're right. Okay, fine. They're not bad, but it was a well made trade by the Lakers, I would say.
yeah,
Considering New
yeah.
Orleans only has one of them still. Um,
Right.
but I think that's like my issue. My issue though with Hurley though is I don't know how much 40-year-old LeBron and 31-year-old AD are doing this. Like I saw a joke that saw it was like the UConn team running stairs in the
Uh huh.
arena, and it was like, could you imagine AD and LeBron like doing this, and like stuff like that. So I think there's like and like his intensity, like not to say like you have to be Darvin Ham where you have your hands in your pocket for the entire 48 minutes, but like you can't be going ballistic on every call in the NBA. It's just not like that. Like yeah, you get upset and people do get upset like for a call here and there. I mean, but like he's coaching like it's the national championship against Rutgers in February up 25.
Right.
And like
And that's kind of what yeah.
yeah, that's exactly and that's kind of what you're saying like I don't really know if like the NBA doesn't really work like that. Once you're up like 15-20, like stars are out. Like that's how it works. Like that's not really is how in college. You're going to stay in there and we're going to keep fucking going till this team and like we're going to put them in the ground. And that's not really how it works in NBA, so that's my concern with Hurley.
I agree with that for sure. And like you said, you have a team that's already like playoff ready. Like he's not in that stage of development where he can get a hold of younger guys and
Right.
really like work with them. So that kind of goes back to a question that I had talking through this. If the Lakers coming off Western Conference Finals appearance 2 years ago, another playoff berth this year, are they in a position to contend for a championship this year? Do you think so?
This year,
Mhm.
with the current roster, I'd say no.
Okay. Well, they're making a playoff run though.
Oh,
It's not like they're rebuilding or
oh no,
anything.
no, no, no,
My
no, no. They're in the playoff. They're in the playoffs. Like they the seeds fall a different way. They're maybe taking if you get a different matchup, maybe they make a round or two. But I still don't think they're better than Denver. I still don't think they're better than Denver.
fair. But they're
I don't
still
think.
like they're in the dance and they're
Yes,
competing.
yes,
My
yes.
question in this is, I think that what your outlook is for the next 3, 5, 10 years moving forward is impactful to how you're making this coaching decision. Like we said, any coach, more specifically a college coach or a first time coach with these guys in JJ Redick, is going to take a few years to adjust to the NBA. Nobody's
Right.
just going to pick up that job and be perfect at it. So I don't know how long the contract is in talks to be,
I saw
but
8 for 100 was the contract I saw.
okay, I think that's fair and reasonable. But keep in mind that Darvin Ham he only coached for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Western Conference Finals, playoff berth,
Frank
fired. So
Vogel won a
what is
title
your outlook?
and coached for 3 years.
Yeah, like that is also like it's a weird situation to be in because I think like I know like Doc Rivers got picked up by the Bucks mid-season, but like if you could get like an accomplished NBA coach to be like, okay, we have a 39-year-old LeBron, like let's try and start this thing up one or two more times. Um, I think that would make sense in the short term, especially with the turnover of NBA coaches. The long term, I think any like Hurley would be a great pick. I think JJ would figure it out. In my non-basketball knowing, I think he really does have a good handle of the game. So I think they'd figure it out. But the fan base, the front office, and whoever takes this job has to have realistic expectations
Well,
of this team right now.
I agree. I think a lot of the fan base has started to slowly turn their mind. I think a little into realistic stuff. I think this last year really kind of did it for them in the sense of like you kind of think that like okay, like 4-0, we went on a run, like maybe a longer time together with Vanderbilt and D'Lo, and you had the guys for a longer time. Maybe this helps us, but like they keep getting, Vanderbilt was hurt, and some people were hurt here and there. They keep putting
Mhm.
themselves, like James Worthy said when they got eliminated. They keep putting themselves in the spot as the 7 through 10 seed. Getting
Yep.
stuck in those spots are going to kill you, no matter how you do. So getting out of it, so like fans are starting to be realistic, but it also seems like the organization is really starting to play the Hollywood card. Like they're really starting to play it up again. Like, and I don't feel like it's the same Hollywood card Jeannie's dad Jerry was playing when they were
Mhm.
winning a lot. When you were winning a lot, you can play that Hollywood card.
Oh
You
yeah.
have the Forum Club. You have everything. You are a celebrity at that Laker game. Now, one win since the back to back in 9-10. I don't think we're at that same level of like Hollywood level. And I think they're acting about it like it's a reality show. Will they bring in LeBron's best friend from his podcast? Will they bring in Dan Hurley, who's this intense guy? There's a lot of stuff. And like people don't remember before they hire Jack McKinney in the 80s,
Mhm.
they're trying to hire the coach from UNLV and he gets killed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like they tried to go college before and that didn't work obviously for that reason. But I mean, like it's just like it's kind of maybe they're trying to go down that path again and like try the college route, but it's just so hard to make that jump. And especially someone who's at UConn, you're a consistent winner. I understand NIL is getting very tough. I get that.
Yeah.
I think that's a big reason coaches are kind of over. But then you have like Calipari who like gets fired from Kentucky and then he takes the job at Arkansas. So it's like people are attempting NIL very differently now. So it'll be very fascinating.
Mhm.
I think by the time this episode comes out, we're gonna get an answer. I think my prediction as of Sunday, 8/28, June 9th, I think I'm gonna go with Hurley stays in UConn.
I agree.
I
I
think
agree.
Hurley's going to
I think
stay, and I think it's gonna be JJ, or they're gonna get the assistant coach from Denver, or Sam Cassell are my three options.
okay.
So those are my three guesses, but I'm going with Hurley declines.
Hurley declines. I think it's going to be JJ. I don't know. I just
So
think
you
it's
think
going to work out like that.
Hurley declines as well?
I think Hurley. It's his job if he wants it, right?
It's
Like
his
if
job if he wants it. Absolutely. They've already came out and said
okay.
it's your job if you want it.
I think Hurley declines. I don't know. Money, NIL, this, that, and the other thing. I don't know why you'd want to leave somewhere you've just won back-to-back championships and not even try and like go for a three-peat,
Yeah,
keep
right.
that thing going. I think there's
Has a
no better
great
spot.
has a great recruiting pitch. Has a great recruiting pitch.
Hmm.
I turned down the Lakers to come recruit you.
Yeah,
Tough to turn
let's
that
go win a
down.
natty.
So
Tough to turn that
yeah,
down.
definitely getting interesting. But yeah, I think we're both on Hurley's out. So pretty interesting for the Lakers. And now for our third historic franchise. I know we're talking about all the blue bloods of the NBA, I feel like Celtics, Lakers, shifting to the Bulls. Joey, you want to give us a little intro before we jump in?
The Bulls, we got a great interview with Brad Seymour coming up, president of the Windy City Bulls out in Hoffman Estates. He's on the business side of things. We talked the business side of the Bulls, the relationship with Chicago, and a lot about getting experience when you were young. Brad had went to college. He told us it took 7 years to complete his degree. He took a bunch of different internships, moving from California to South Dakota, which is a pretty big jump, I thought. But great interview with him coming up. Hopefully, his golden touch can translate over to the Chicago Bulls as well. So we will kick it to Brad now.
Joining us in studio now is Brad Seymour from the Windy City Bulls. He's been the president for the last 8 years and has an extensive career in minor league sports, working for the Lancaster Jethawks, the Sioux Falls Canaries, and other teams in the Cleveland Guardians system. Brad, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the studio.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
So for people who don't know, we've had this interview set up for a couple weeks. Very excited about it. Windy City Bulls. Everybody knows Chicago Bulls, but this is the G League team for them. What has that been like? How did the season go? How do you think it's going to go? What is your prep for the draft looking like and the summer league?
All right. Well, let me start back. So I've been with the Bulls for the last 8 years, and then before that, I spent 21 years, like you mentioned, in minor league baseball. And I'll talk about career history and all that in more detail. But my role with the Windy City Club is overseeing all business operations for the franchise, and so I work very closely with basketball operations, coaching staff, all of that. However, I don't have any input, decision making as far as the roster makeup. And I'm actually thankful for that. I got a taste of that in my baseball days, which I'll go into. But the way to look at it is I'm in charge of everything off the court, and I love it. It's been a great run. We started strong. shut down for 18 months over COVID, and then have basically relaunched this thing over the last 3 years. And then this past year, that wrapped up at the end of March, record attendance. And just it's really, it's not only about growing our brand, it's about growing the NBA G League. And we can talk a little bit more about what the G League is and what that means. But, to answer your question, I don't really have much responsibility when it comes to summer league, when it comes to, again, roster makeup. I'm the budget guy, and so I'll set the budgets for basketball operations. But beyond that, the same guys making the decisions for the big club are making the decisions for us. And it's truly become a pipeline in the last several years. With you're seeing more and more guys with G League experience at the NBA level, which has been pretty cool to see that growth. And the league itself just added its 31st team. So when we joined it, we were the 18th team. So there's been massive growth in the last 8 years.
That's awesome. And kind of talking about how you got started in it, I saw you had a business admin degree from Colorado Tech. How'd you get into sports? Michael and I both got business admin degrees from Ohio State. Being a GM of a minor league team, that'd be kind of a dream job for me, Michael, a lot of our friends too. So how'd you kind of get your foot in the door in a pretty tough industry to get started in?
Yeah, I really went the very non-traditional route, and I'll start at the beginning. My summer job in high school, I was the souvenir kid. I was the concessions kid at the San Jose Giants. They were the local minor league baseball team. And then I like to say I just became a stadium rat. I certainly would work every game, but then I would just show up after school and say, put me to work. And so back in those days, we're talking early 90s, things were a lot different. It was a little bit more mom and pop type of thing. And so, the owner would put me to work doing anything and everything. And I just kind of learned from the ground up. And then, off season, same thing. I would show up. I originally wanted to go into sports broadcasting, and I actually went to the University of Missouri for a period of time right out of high school. But then quickly realized I wanted to be in the business of sports. And I got a couple of internships. So the owner of the San Jose team owned a team in South Dakota, literally came to me one spring and said, you want to go be an intern? And so I jumped at the opportunity. It was in food and beverage. This is one thing I tell, students and a lot of young people that want to get into this is I truly took the opportunity. I had no intention of cooking hot dogs the rest of my life, but I knew that this was going to be my foot in the door. And so I took that summer internship, went back to San Jose, went to a junior college for a year, went back for another internship in South Dakota, thinking I'd be there for 3 months for the summer, and I ended up there for 9 years. I got hired on. And so I kind of did the reverse. I got the job, and then I had to finish my degree. It ended up taking me 7.5 years to get my degree. I was going to night school 4 nights a week, working full time, and doing a little bit of everything. Started in business operations, got into ticket sales, eventually corporate sales, and really it accelerated the early part of my career to the point that by the time right before I turned 25 is when they named me the GM of the team. There was some movement, and there was just an opportunity to get promoted. And so at a very young age, I got experience, and that experience then qualified me to get that first opportunity to run an organization. And it's certainly not something you see, a whole lot in terms of somebody that age getting that opportunity, but, jumped at it, did that for a couple of years. And then just wanted a new challenge. I'd been there for 9 seasons. And so I moved to Southern California with our family and took over a team, the Lancaster Jethawks, which is outside of LA, part of the California League, and ran that team for 5 years. And then I guess just to run through my career from there, I then moved to Cleveland, same ownership group, and they actually asked me to run both clubs. So I was going back and forth, primary responsibility running at the time, the Indian single A affiliate in just outside of Cleveland. And then I was running the team in Southern California too, until we sold that franchise. Spent 7 years there. So 21 years total in baseball. And then had somebody approach me and asked if I wanted to start a G League franchise and work for the Bulls. And so I jumped at that opportunity, and that's how I'm here.
Yeah, I noticed when looking at your resume and stuff, I thought I was looking at it wrong at the first glance that you were working for two teams at once. What was
Yeah,
that like? How tough was that? What were some things you learned? I mean, it wasn't like
yeah,
it was from um, Los Alamitos to Lancaster. You know, it wasn't like it was right there. You were traveling for
yeah.
these clubs. So what was that like?
It was not an easy commute.
Yeah, I bet.
It was a lot of back and forth, and even the days just with the time change. I used to joke, I'd finish, the job in Cleveland, go home at 5 o'clock, and still work for 3 more hours because
Right.
of West Coast time. And but you know what? It was a huge challenge. The team I had left in Lancaster had some financial issues, and so I was asked to kind of help get it back on track and get it in a position to where the ownership could sell the franchise. But massive challenge. But again, I was able to take a lot of the best practices that I'd learned along my way and implement them. Work very closely with the staff in California. And do a lot of the same things that we were having success with in Cleveland, and then also lean on my experience of being on the ground in Lancaster, and kind of go back to some of the things that have been successful. But it's an opportunity that I'm thankful I had. I don't know if I would do it again, because of just the wear and tear and the lifestyle of it. But at the time, I just embraced the opportunity. Similar to every step of my career, I've put myself in a position to get new opportunities, and that's kind of what has kept me challenged. And this was just another one of those. And it got to the point in baseball, where I kind of accomplished everything I wanted to. I'd been a part of a stadium renovation and almost a full teardown. I'd been a part of selling naming rights. I'd been a part of being around championship teams and all of that stuff. And the only thing I'd never done was be part of a startup. And so it was perfect timing when the Bulls came calling and said, we need somebody who understands how to run a minor league franchise in a major league market, which I had done in Cleveland, and to a lesser extent, even though it's part of LA County, it was a little bit more separated. But it takes an understanding to be able to do that, as opposed to maybe a standalone market where the minor league team is the only show in town. And so I had the opportunity, and that's where I jumped at it here. And again, it was something I'd never done and been a part of, and so I just embraced that.
Yeah, that's awesome. For starting in Chicago, like you said, it was kind of startup of a G League team, but in one of the biggest markets in the country, along with
Yeah.
one of the most storied franchises in basketball. So, do you get a lot of support from the Reinsdorf, like the NBA affiliate as well? How has
Mhm.
the startup been in a big market like that?
We since day one, and that was actually one of the things that attracted me as I was going through the interview process that took several months, and meeting with ownership, every department head, everybody from the top down had embraced this new concept of having a G League team. And that was really attractive to me, because I knew I was not going to just be out on an island. We were going to have the day-to-day support that we needed to get this thing off the ground. And so that was very attractive to me. And we've been able to carry that forward, to where I work very closely with virtually everybody on the Chicago side on the business operations, and no matter what department it is. And in a lot of ways, we're just a smaller uh, operation versus a big NBA operation. We do all the same things, but we multitask. We don't have as big of a staff, but I'm able to lean on the resources of Chicago, and that has certainly helped since day one. Not every G League team has that benefit. And the other nice thing is I also have full autonomy to do what I need to do. They lean on me to run the minor league franchise. It is completely different than running a major league franchise. It's a different way to sell it. There's just a different way of operating. And so they lean on me to do that part. I have the autonomy to do what I need to do, but at the same time, I can pick up the phone at any time and have the resources that we need.
I found a quote you said in the Sports Business Journal, which I really like talking about that. It was the
Yeah.
biggest challenge is that we're a minor league franchise in a very major league market. The education of what we are, both on and off the court, is still growing, and we face it every day as we are out there in the community. I think that's a very perfect way of putting it. It's a lot
Yeah.
different when you're a G League team that not a lot of people know about, and especially a startup team. It's tough to start up a startup team in maybe Orlando, let's say, for the Magic. But
Yeah.
being in Chicago, it's not a franchise that's shied away from being in the limelight. It's had its history. So what what do you think is like one thing you learned like quickly, like as a startup? You
Yeah.
said you've never done that, like you've worked at teams and you were building a career there year after year. What is one thing that you were like, okay, this is a lot tougher, maybe in basketball one, or just as a startup as a whole?
Well, there were, I mean,
Yeah.
we could spend hours on everything I learned, but and what we did wrong and what you learn from your mistakes, but it wasn't just the challenge of a new startup minor league franchise. We at that time, and to a certain extent still do, we face the challenge of what is minor league basketball, because minor league baseball been around for 100 years, hockey been around for probably close to that. Minor league basketball has only been around, the league itself has been around since 2001 2. Minor league basketball has been around maybe a decade or so before that in general. So people don't even know what minor league basketball is. And
I think
the makeup of our
I think I saw recently because they were advertising it during the finals that it was like this is the 20th anniversary of the summer league, which is like kind of
yeah.
crazy if you think about it. Like we've had rookies for ages, and it's only the 20th year we've
Yeah.
been doing something like this.
Yeah, I mean the summer league started up as some guy's idea, and he grew it, and then the NBA came in and bought it and took it over. So in a lot of ways, the concept of minor league basketball is still very new. We spend like that. I can't remember when that interview was, but it was during the early years. To this day, we still spend a lot of time educating the market as to who we are, what we are. Try to explain where our players come from. That you're seeing guys. If you're a basketball fan, you're seeing guys that you watched on ESPN last year because they were stars in the NCAA, or this guy was the MVP of the Final Four, and so these guys are stars on the college level. They're just not good enough yet to play in the NBA, and so you do a lot of that type of conversation and education to the non basketball fan. But it's also we're a small fish in a big market, or small fish in a big pond, and it's all about awareness. It's all about again, that first year we tried to be all things to everybody. I was thinking, I'm coming from a world where we had 70 home games to a world where we have 24. I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. I'm used to selling a much bigger season, and I realized we couldn't be everything to everybody at the same time. And that first year, our marketing budget was stretching across all the way into Chicago, and we realized, what, the core market, it's 10, 15 miles from where we are. There's 1.5 million people there. Let's conquer our backyard before we try to branch out from there. And so just a lot of steps in learning a new market, but then just learning how the community operates, and what's going to resonate and what's important to the community, because eventually, we have to create reasons for people to want to come out to our games. And that's why we come up with the promotions and the themes. And again, it's a lot of trial and error, and just learning. And, we've now finishing our 7th, 8th year. We've developed some core anchor events for us from a theme and promotion standpoint that we know, okay, those are going to be sellouts every year. And then you just kind of learn from there. And it's a challenge, but it's also the fun part of the job.
Yeah. I think what you said about educating people on kind of what you are is super important. I want to talk about kind of how that reaches the players too. Like you said, you have maybe MVPs of the Final Four, high prospects looking to move up in the league, younger guys, as well as some guys who are maybe older towards the end of their career, maybe struggling and got
Mm-hmm.
optioned down to the league. How does that kind of affect the building culture? Do you think the players have a good grasp on that? Curious how kind of the locker room works when you have maybe a 19, 22-year-old who's trying to be a vocal leader, who's trying to get his way into the league, and then maybe potentially a disgruntled veteran who kind of just got there and would rather not be there.
It is a true mix of backgrounds, and it has become more and more diverse that way, since we entered the league. And that's, because the advent of NBA two-way contract players. So this past year, they added a third two-way is what we call them. And so you've got three guys on NBA contracts that are splitting their time between us and the NBA. They take priority in terms of getting minutes and maybe getting a little bit more attention. Then you've got assignment guys. So you've got your first and second round picks who are on the Chicago side, but they may not be getting the minutes. They need the development. So then you get those guys assigned. And it is a balancing act in terms of juggling the egos and juggling, having to talk to a guy and say, you're not going to play tonight and you didn't play last night, and trying to just balance that. And, it's a challenge. The other thing with the G League is no 2 days are the same. And, an example this past year, beginning of the season, we were running a roster of like 15, 16 guys between two assignments, the full run of two ways, and then 10 G League guys. And, the G League guys kind of get put on the back burner sometimes. We had NBA veterans with us this past year. They had to learn to adapt to kind of they're not the star of the show anymore. And then, you do get into the season, and sometimes the writing's on the wall, and a guy will take an opportunity and go overseas and sign a contract and just realize, that's going to be the best for me right now. And so you wake up and, you'll have a guy that's gone, and there's buyout clauses and everything, but there's just a lot of change that happens throughout the year. And for the head coach and the coaching staff, it's a constant juggling act. And it's become more and more so as these rosters have gotten bigger. And, we've added staff, we had support staff, the coaching staff has expanded to just deal with the volume and the bodies and make sure the guys are getting the development that they need from top to bottom. But when all is said and done, your assignments, your two-way guys, those are kind of the priority when it comes to, if everybody's in camp together.
Yeah, I think one thing I kind of noticed looking at the team this year and the team in the past is you could probably understand what I mean for people for people who don't understand. I'll explain it. In the MLB, for example, when somebody gets a rehab start or they're going down to the minor league, that's a big deal. Everybody's posting about it. That minor league team posted. For example, Reed Detmers for the Angels got sent down. He's pitching in AAA tonight. They were advertising, it's Detmers Day. Come out and see Major League Pitcher Detmers Day. I looked at your roster this year and I looked at past players. Does that affect something in the G League? You had Derek Favors this year, who was a household NBA name. And you also look at some other guys in the past, Spencer Dinwiddie, Bull, Alfonso McKinney, Daniel Gafford, who's now in the NBA Finals, Bobby Portis, Cam Payne, Max Strus. Those are names that are very well known. And I think we're starting to see a little bit more growth. I felt like in the past, minor league basketball was like, you're going to try it out for a couple years, might make it, or you're just going to play overseas till you're ready to get a desk job. Do those, when players come down for those rehab assignments or when they're down there for a couple days, after having a following either in college or in the pros, does that affect any way you market the team?
Very rarely. Very rarely will we see it impact, ticket sales. Very rarely will we, showcase, a player or a specific player in terms of marketing. And a lot of it has to do with, what I just said in terms of you can wake up tomorrow and that guy's not going to be here and you've put a whole marketing campaign behind it because he had to stay with the NBA team or something happens. And there's only been a couple of instances where we have put marketing dollars, for example, and a ton of promotion behind players. And one of them was, you mentioned Bull when he was with us, and Taco Fall, if you remember that name, he was with the Celtics affiliate. We had a matchup. We had a matchup against them. It was a Tuesday night, and so we said, you know what, let's take advantage of this, and did about a 2-week marketing campaign, kind of a head-to-head matchup thing. And lo and behold, Bull got injured. Taco played, but it sold tickets. It sold our floor out. But that was about it. And, we kind of learned our lesson a little bit there that you gotta tiptoe a little bit. You want to promote it, but, you just don't, you don't want to overpromise either. The other example that just comes to mind was this past year, NBA G League Ignite. It's the team of prospects that actually just it just went away just with all the changes with the NCAA and whatnot. But NBA G League Ignite was a team full of NBA draft prospects. They're going to be in the draft this year. There was a local individual who's going to be a top 10 pick that was on the team. We put a lot of marketing effort into that. And part of the reason we got the game was because he's from here, gives him an opportunity to play in front of friends and family. And that game, we sold 3,000 tickets and, truly saw the needle move because of the on-court product. But beyond that, a lot of our marketing efforts and whatnot, we don't even mention the basketball. As crazy as that sounds, it's, at the end of the day, like I said, we have to create reasons for people to want to come to our games. We can't solely rely on the basketball fan. We don't rely on wins and losses. Wins and losses have zero meaning in terms of selling tickets or anything like that. And so from a marketing standpoint, we're focused on the bobbleheads. We're focused on the theme nights. We're focused on the groups. And that's ultimately what brings people out to our games. Yes, there are that core group of hardcore fans, 10, 15% of the audience, but everybody else is there for reasons other than basketball. And that's where my job and our staff's job comes into play in terms of putting those events together to sell and create the atmosphere and the environment that, is fun to play in for the guys. The other thing I'll touch on, just because you rattled off a bunch of names of guys that have been with us, that's also been one of the cool things is seeing guys get an opportunity, get their first step in a lot of ways, with Max or Alfonso. Alfonso came out of a local tryout camp and, ended up working his way and, became a starter with the Warriors. And, Max obviously has gone on to big things, in his career, but you're seeing guys kind of get their first, feet in the water. When they're with us in those cases, nobody knows who they are, and then they get the opportunity to move up and move on. So, that's one of the cool things about it, and then you mentioned Derek. Yeah, he spent the year with us, certainly had a name, NBA veteran. Again, doesn't necessarily sell tickets, so to speak. It's one of those things. It's more, you come to a game and, that's, I didn't know Derek Favors was playing here, and that's kind of cool and whatnot. But we can't rely on selling wins and losses, selling the players specifically, for all the reasons I mentioned.
Yeah, I think obviously the younger players are a huge highlight, like you said, and like we said, this podcast is kind of meant to reach the 20-something who's maybe looking for a new path, a non-traditional path. So whether it's between a player just getting their feet wet, like you said, or maybe a recent college graduate in the business side of things, what do you kind of look for, or what do you recognize as like, this guy is going to be successful moving forward? Or maybe even what do you see out of young people these days that you maybe try and stay away from?
Well, on the business side, the number one thing that I look for, whether we're bringing in a new intern class or whether we're hiring somebody full time, the number one thing, the first thing I look at is experience. I want to know what you've done outside of your education. That's an important piece. But I want to see what internships have you had during your college years? What else have you done to show me that you understand what you're getting into? And that is so important, because there are a lot of people, if you don't do that while you're in college, and again, whether it's something as simple as volunteer in your athletic department, or obviously there's internships there, but during the summer months, go and get an internship with a sports team, minor league team, whatever. You don't understand what you're getting into. And in a lot of cases, I've been doing this long enough that we'll hire somebody who thinks they're going to just be watching baseball or watching basketball, or they're a basketball fan. And, to be blunt, we're not looking for those people. We're looking for people that are good at the skills that we're hiring them for. Do they have sales experience, or at least understand what it's going to take to do that, or, finance or PR. So I've always said that's the number one thing that I look at. It's also the number one thing that I get hit up almost every day from students or people looking to get into the industry. How do I do it? My number one response is put yourself out there, get that experience while you're in school, get it early on. Don't wait until your senior year, because that's what's going to get you to stand out. And it just gets your foot forward. What it also does is it builds your network. LinkedIn has become such a powerful tool. I wish I had it 29 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, but take advantage of something like that to build your own network. I always say you never know who's going to respond to you. It doesn't matter what a title is. Reach out to people, put yourself out there, take a risk, because that's how you're going to, it's who you know, not what you know type of thing. And that's just it. Some of it's cliche, but some of it proves itself out time and time again. And it's just always something that I encourage. And then the other piece of this three-pronged, advice that I give is go where the opportunity is. You can't limit yourself geographically. There's only a finite number of teams and opportunities in each market. And so you have to go, where that first opportunity is going to be, and then prove yourself. I'm the poster child for that. I went from California to South Dakota, had no interest in doing that initially, but I knew that's where the opportunity was, and you take advantage of it.
I think.
I think that's yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, just from like my experience, like Joey and I both, yeah, we did graduate with business degrees. I'm in accounting, and I also double majored with sport industry. And in my college time, I started college just kind of doing business, and then I was like, well, I still really want to work in sports, and that's what I really always thought I
Yeah.
wanted to do. And so I double majored in sport industry. And I mean, like you said, my LinkedIn is very weird looking. I have people in the accounting world, I have people in the finance world, and I have probably another half of my followers are sports. And I'm probably shooting 25, 30% from LinkedIn messages because who knows? But
Yeah.
one thing I will relate to is I got a job my junior year working team fan experience for the Blue Jackets, and I did that all year. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, I was super excited. Thought I was going to watch hockey. Thought I was going to help out with the fans. And I've been to hundreds of baseball games for the Angels, and I see the fan experience. It's really bad right now, but in the past, it used to be really good. And
Yeah.
I saw those moments and I was like, oh, this is cool. But when you get in there and you're learning certain things, you're like, okay, this isn't just hockey for 3 periods and a little work before and after the game. And then when I worked out that whole year after that, I applied for the marketing internship, got it that summer with them. And that was very different. You think marketing internship, you think banners, you think things are, when you have events for your team. And it was other stuff.
Yeah.
It was going into the community and marketing there. It was setting up a draft party. It was that summer they ended up signing Johnny Gaudreau. It was a big summer for them. It was probably their biggest contract in franchise history. And that was a big deal. So that was more the marketing I was thinking of. But there were a lot of things where you kind of had to step up and do it. And I was excited to do it because I really wanted to work in sports, really tried to work in sports after college, didn't
Yeah.
really work out. But you had to learn how to, I helped answer phones one day. I was just answering phones from a call and I didn't sell ticket sales, but I had to do it. And I think that's like the curtain, like Wizard of Oz curtain. You don't really see that when you think you want to work in
Yep.
sports, but that's the truth. And I think not a lot of people accept that going into the business.
That 100%. You hit it on the head. And again, a lot of what you experienced is what happens when somebody gets that first opportunity. And the other thing is, again, I've seen it too often where somebody will get the opportunity. We hire somebody, but then they don't take advantage of it. And they don't do the extra things that again make them stand out. And then they get to the end of the internship and they wonder why they haven't been hired when somebody else has. Well, this is an individual that went above and beyond. This is an individual that expressed interest in learning other areas while they were with us. So it's one thing to get the internship or get that first job, but then it's another thing to then make yourself stand out and do the extra things that aren't as sexy, but you just know, what, this is going to keep my name at the forefront of the supervisor or the person in charge. And ultimately those are the people that continue to get the opportunity. So your experience is very similar. It's eye-opening. and you do understand kind of the ins and outs of what goes into putting on, sporting events. The other thing I'll touch on, just because you mentioned accounting and some of the other things, the industry itself has become very diversified too. Whoop,
Oh,
did we lose him?
yeah,
There we go.
he might hop back on.
All right. But what I was saying is that the sports industry has become very diversified. Again, when I was starting out, 90% of the people would start out in ticket sales. They get tossed a phone book, start making sales calls,
That's what I
and then
always
you'll work your
heard.
way.
That's what I always heard
Yeah.
too.
Yep, you'll work your way up from there. But the sports industry has become much more sophisticated. There's so many different avenues to get in now. You don't have to have a sports degree. You don't have to have a business degree. I mean, there's people from all different walks of life and backgrounds that are coming into our industry because there are so many new things that our industry is becoming. I mean, in a lot of cases, you don't even have to be a sports fan. We are a business and a diversified business, and so that's also providing just more opportunities for people, not only just out of school, but people to make career changes, when maybe they're a little bit older and move over and get those opportunities.
I saw one thing when I was there, especially that, growing up, I played baseball my whole life. I thought I wanted to work in baseball. I still think that maybe is down the line a potential work in
Yeah,
sports. But in my mind, I want to work stats. I want to do business, baseball ops, and that's a little different path than obviously the business side. But when I was doing the internship, I saw a lot of differences. There was corporate partnership, there's business accounting, and I didn't even know those were actual fields in sports, like until that
yeah,
point, because you don't really think of that. You think there's like accounting, finance, marketing, and the C suite along with the analytic people. And you see
yeah.
certain things like that, and you're like, okay, that's kind of cool and that stuff. And it's pretty fascinating to me because that is a very big topic. And I don't think a lot of people want to use their major. They want to just do like the baseball stuff or the basketball stuff. And they don't want to
They,
like separate. And I got told some piece of advice when I was working from there that it's always great not to just have a sports management degree. A lot of people from Ohio State were graduating sports management, but it's always great to have sports management with something else to always show you can
yes.
do something else. And that was a big piece of advice I got.
Yep, you're diversifying yourself to make yourself more attractive and be that Swiss Army knife that can kind of fit in anywhere. Yeah, it's becoming more and more important. If you're a student, if you're somebody that's thinking, what can I do if I get into sports outside of the so-called, I call them the sexy jobs, the things that we all wanted to do when we were
Right.
growing up. I want to be the GM. I want to be the guy making the trades and signing the contracts, and those jobs are even more difficult to get opportunities with, and that's something where you have to start early. You have to make a name for yourself. That's a whole nother show, but you can simply go on team websites and see what the job postings are, and you get a good sense of all the myriad of different departments and opportunities that a major league organization, but certainly a minor league organization too, are going to be hiring for. And it's all over the place now. It's not just the few handful of jobs that were there when I was coming up.
Yeah, would definitely agree. I don't. So for if anybody's watching it, you've understood that Joey's dropped because of service. But if you're listening to this on the
Wait,
Spotify or Apple,
can you
then
hear me?
he is not on. But maybe he's coming back on. But
Wait, I've been.
wrapping
We'll
up because
see.
I know you're running out of time
Oh,
here. But my one last question I had, it was funny enough. We said it was good timing. We pushed this to Friday. You guys were in the news this week. New head coach, Billy Donovan III. What is that like? Everybody obviously had their jokes on Twitter. What has that been like around the club and inside the office?
Yeah. Well, I mean, nothing is official yet, so I can't speak officially, but I
Okay.
can say that working with BD3 last year, he was one of our top assistants, absolutely outstanding on and off the court, knows his stuff, has hustled. By no means is it because of
Nepo.
what his dad is. He is somebody who he was in the Spurs organization for a while, and just really good to work with. And I enjoyed the last season with them. And as we've seen in the news, hopefully it's going to work out that he's going to join us this year. And I look forward to that and just having that opportunity. But that's more another example of just that close conduit that we have with Chicago and the NBA side. Our coaching staff is intersected. We've had numerous coaches that have moved up to the Chicago side. We've had numerous coaches move to other organizations too, but it truly is an integrated process. And those are just more examples of that create that synergy between the two organizations.
Yeah, I think one thing I noticed when I was reading an article about him, because I read in this article, like you said, not official, we're not breaking any news yet, but the head coach last year, I read he might be moving up, correct? And then
Yeah.
I did notice, I thought it was kind of a cool fact because I'm a pretty big sports historian, but maybe this is the start of another great coach, because I noticed just like Eric Spoelstra started in the film room, looks like he had that
Yep.
journey, and maybe we're talking about him 5 years, 10 years down the line that he started out doing that.
That's what the majority of these guys are working towards. And again, they're starting at the very bottom. They're starting, doing the so-called grunt work and working their way up. And again, it takes time. You have to be patient. The other thing too, from a basketball side is, when you're in the G League, you have to be focused on the G League. You can't do it, halfway and kind of have one eye on NBA opportunities. It's focus on what's right in front of you. And again, I've talked to numerous coaches about that, where they see other guys and maybe those guys aren't fully committed to what they're doing at the G, and versus others who say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to succeed at it, and then the opportunities will come, and that's ultimately what happens to a lot of the guys that you see moving up.
Yeah, very, very cool. That was pretty much all we had. Last question I think I officially have is, what is your one goal for the next season? Like, what's something that you think you've been working on, or you think maybe this is a time now? We've been here. You're almost approaching 10 years, right? About 8 seasons now, not
Yeah.
the whole team. So what's a goal you're
Yeah.
looking forward to hitting with the Windy City Bulls next season?
From my side, just well, I'll talk business. It's growing revenues. It's becoming a top 10 team in all revenue facets, and we're there in some, and we're not there in others. And so it's about just continuing to grow that, growing the awareness, selling out games, um, selling tickets. We just want to continue to see the momentum that we've had the last couple of years, continue to move forward there. And then on the basketball side, it's about development. I want to see guys who are playing for us grow, develop, and become contributing members of the Chicago franchise, and be successful at the NBA level. So welcome back, Joey. Hi.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been here the whole time. I saw like a little glitch, and I was like, I don't really know what happened, but I've been listening the whole time, and it's been great stuff.
Right on. Yep.
Um,
So anyway, those are my goals that I'm looking at for next year.
awesome. And you have any predictions for the finals? It's going on right now.
I don't. I mean, after last night, I guess when we're taping this, it looks like the Celtics are a pretty darn good team. So I have no horse in the race. I just want to see some good games.
Fair. Last night was not good enough. I felt like it was bad basketball.
It was ugly. I was not happy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm not gonna lie, I turned it off early.
so did we. Yeah. Well, thank you, Brad, for coming to the studio. We really appreciate it. Brad Seymour, guys, Windy City Bulls, incredible interview with him. We're going to wrap it up now, send it the clutch moment of the week before we go to Outside the Line. Thank you, Brad.
Thanks,
you, Brad.
guys.
Our clutch moment of the week is sponsored by Shore Metals, premier metal supplier serving Southern California since 1970. Big enough to serve you and small enough to know you. See Stan, he'll help you out. Michael, who you got for your clutch moment of the week?
Clutch moment of the week. Meg Halloran coming in to California for a couple weeks. UCI Medical Center, away rotation. So clutch moment goes out to UCI and Meg coming. That's going to be great. Pretty excited for that.
Are we getting Meg? Are we getting Meg on the pod more? She was funny.
Yeah,
she was funny in Hawaii.
I definitely heard some great reviews from Meg's appearance. I think we can definitely get her on. She'll be here for a couple episodes while we record, so maybe we can get her on, get her opinions on things. But she'll be here next 3 weeks, so definitely could be a recurring guest. Could be our next recurring guest. So gonna be interesting for that. So shout out UCI for accepting Meg, and Meg for being here. It's gonna be clutch. So that's my clutch moment of the week.
What'd you say? It was like 5 months since you had like seen each other before Hawaii, and
Yeah.
now you're basically living together for
Now
a
we're
month.
living
So that's
together.
awesome.
So yeah, living together at my parents' house. So gonna be interesting.
Every guy's
Every
dream.
guy's dream. So gonna be interesting for that, but very exciting as well. That's my clutch moment of the week. How about yours?
My clutch moment of the week got to go out to Drew Holiday. He has been, I think you could safely say he's one of the most well-liked players in the league. He just has a game you got to fall in love with. The broadcast said today, they said he was a perfect fit coming to Boston. They also said the same thing when he got to Milwaukee, where he won a championship with Giannis, because he's a perfect fit with anybody. We've seen a lot in the NBA. You try and do the Brooklyn Nets super team stuff like that, where like too many ball dominant, selfish, too many guys, one ball doesn't really work. Drew Holiday had, I think, 11 rebounds today, 26 points on 11 of 14 shooting. A lot of it was backdoor cuts to layups, good assists as well, just a lot of hustle plays. So it was the Drew Holiday game today. As we said, the death machine marches on, being up 2-0, but he just was all over the place today.
Do
So
you
shout out
think
Drew
do you think
Holiday.
Drew Holiday is the Finals MVP through 2 games, or you think it's still Jalen Brown?
I think it's going to be Jalen Brown. Uh,
I will say, right as we're recording Clutch
I think it's
Moment,
another good.
Drew
Yeah.
Holiday in his post-game quote doesn't prefer one or the other, talking about Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. So great teammate as well. Write that down.
Great teammate. That conversation is so just dumb. I think actually both Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum are one trick ponies, and Drew Holiday should win the Finals MVP because he's better than
Incredible
everyone
take.
else is better than both Jason and Jalen Brown. Like they're flashy.
They're
I don't know.
great one player together. Right hand Jalen Brown, and we can
Yeah,
use left hand Jason Tatum. So we'll
yeah.
just do that. So yeah, great take on Drew Holiday. Perfect. So shout out Drew Holiday. Shout out Mag. Clutch moment of the week brought to you by Shore Metals. Now to outside the line. Starting out with outside the line, our usual, the world famous tone deaf person of the week, Joey. Tone deaf. Who we got this week?
It's something I didn't really think of a lot, but now that I've moved in the city, I'm walking more places, I'm popping into more stores. It kind of became
Oh,
more apparent. Dogs in all these random stores. And not
okay.
necessarily service animals because that happens, but why I don't like leave your dog at home, take your dog for a walk, and then go get groceries. Like I don't get it. It's like weird. The dogs are like barking and like pulling on leashes on like to mess with other dogs in the store, and I don't get it. I don't like it. I think it's kind of pick me almost. I love dogs, but
Oh,
it's a little pick me.
yeah. Just let's make that clear. Dog's great, not anti-dog
Dog's
podcast.
great.
We're a pro-dog
Mhm.
podcast.
For sure.
Yeah, I've kind of seen that as well. I did see people in Hawaii, not in the stores. This I had no problem with, like dogs and strollers. I saw that a lot in Hawaii, which was very fascinating. But in the stores, like kind of roughhousing, I do see that as well. They'll bark, like do that. I kind of agree. Why are they like doing it in the store? I understand maybe like quick things like
Yeah.
post office, Amazon pickup, maybe. Grocery store shopping. I
Why is
don't,
your dog in Target? Why is your dog in Target?
right, right. I don't even know. Yeah, so okay, that is tone deaf. I would agree as well. That's pretty tone deaf. That's
It's not crazy because I always do love seeing dogs, but I just think it's a little dramatic. It's a little pick me. So
I think that's
wanted
a
to hit on
great
that
like
one.
spin zone on it. The pick me part. It's 1,000%
Yeah.
pick me because I don't. Yeah, I don't know why else you would do that. You think it's potentially a spin zone? It's potentially a move to for guys and girls to pick up chicks, like go to the store. Oh, your dog's
I
so
like
cute.
that. That's free game potentially. I think that would be a great spin zone.
Just a thought. Maybe people have,
Or it's too pick me. I don't know.
or
I think
it's
that's a
pick
good
me,
spin.
or it's pick me,
It's a
or
good
it's pick
point.
me.
It's event. Clearly no girls are picking me up like that. So because I think it's pick me. So if don't bring your dog into the store.
Don't put your dog in.
But I
Okay.
liked it.
Yeah, that's definitely tone deaf. My tone deaf person of the week. I feel like, unfortunately, they've caught, as much as I do enjoy watching it, they've caught a lot of my strays the last few weeks. But again, it's the MLB as a whole. And maybe not as like a whole in sense of like marketing or what. I don't understand why they continue to do this. These every Friday for the last couple of seasons, for people who are unaware, they have Apple TV games. Apple TV picks up the
Right.
game. Usually it's you get one or two, maybe you maybe get two. Usually it's one a season where you have on Apple TV and is a pain because, yes, it's not on your local station. It's not on Bally's. It's not on Fox. It's not on ESPN. Yes, it is annoying. You potentially have to get Apple TV. I would assume most people with Apple products have Apple TV. It's, like included and stuff, but
Yeah.
still annoying. It's another service you have to buy, especially in today's world. It feels like, why aren't we going back to cable and the boxes? We have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Peacock, we have YouTube TV, we have this, that. Everybody's got a streaming service now. Let's get back. Maybe, so maybe side tone deaf, we're going back to cable streaming services.
Facts.
But my tone deaf was the MLB because these games are picked at the beginning of the season. It's not like they're picked in the fall of the season before. Like usually,
Can you flex like in football?
No.
Okay.
The only games that are flexed in football are like football, Sunday night baseball on ESPN. Those are flexed here and there.
Okay.
But the ESPN or the Apple TV games are picked in the beginning of the season, like February.
Okay.
Versus you usually get your schedule for next season without the times. You usually get those in the last month of the season before. My tone deaf of MLB is because Friday night of this past week, Dodgers, Yankees, two of the biggest brands in the MLB.
ESPN's headline was World Series preview potentially.
World Series preview, MVPs galore, Judge, Mookie, Shohei, fuck him, Freddie Freeman. You had talent almost at every position. Juan Soto, who was an MVP but still a great player, and it's on Apple TV. You're hurting the average fan. Why is no one watching this game? And yes, I found a way to watch it. I watched it on Apple TV. I wanted to watch it. And it also wasn't an issue for me because on DirecTV Stream, we have Spectrum, which is the Dodgers channel. So I could just go on the Dodgers channel and watch. But I live in California. If you want the average fan outside of New York, outside of California, to watch this game, you had to have Apple TV. And I just think that is so tone deaf, so marketing wise, because what the fuck are we doing? You want to grow the game. You want to show your best players. You want to show your stars. Why are you not putting them on Fox? Why are you not putting them on something else? And again, not like we had the NBA Finals game one. Not like we had the Stanley Cup game one. This was nothing. There was nothing else going on. We had some super regional stuff for college baseball, but that was the first day of the college baseball super regional, not a clinching day, none of that. There wasn't anything for the Olympics. There's nothing else going on. Felt like it was just so tone deaf, continuously shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, that's because as an average baseball fan, which I would consider myself, that'd be a game I'd like to tune into. I don't have Apple TV, so I didn't watch it. And
there we go.
College football did a lot of the same things. A couple of those Ohio State games were on Peacock. It was like Ohio State versus Northwestern, so I didn't even bother getting Peacock. It's ridiculous. We're heading straight back to cable, like you said. I think, it hurts the fans. Like, it helps the businesses to get that fat check from Amazon for this 10-year TV deal. But for the quality of the quality product to the fan, it definitely hurts it. So that it sucks.
Yeah. So I just maybe one day we will learn to get past these stupid moments, but consistently Manfred shooting himself in the foot again. So that's my tone deaf week. Pretty stupid. Wrapping up, wrong side, right side. What do we got going on?
Big week for me. Right side, I finally have a stocked fridge. I finally have groceries today. Put a fat Instacart order together, not because I'm lazy, want to get ahead of that one right now. Grocery store's like 10, 12-minute walk, half mile away, and we had not had groceries. We had some stuff from the first grocery run when we moved in, but that's been over a month now. I was gone for 2 weeks. We're gonna throw Kyle straight under the bus. I don't know what he ate for those 2 weeks while I was gone. It was a completely empty fridge. But we have groceries now. Gonna make the best turkey sandwich of my life for lunch tomorrow during work instead of having a granola bar for breakfast, lunch, and dinner like I did last week. That's big. That's my big right side. So I'm very excited about having food in the house.
Okay. And wrong side?
Wrong side. We're trying to look ahead to our plans a bit later in the year. Ohio State plays Northwestern at Wrigley this year. We're like, hey, we should probably check in where tickets at. Cheapest ticket, $375. Wrigley right up the street. Can't really rationalize it against Northwestern. Really want people to come in. If anyone has tickets in the Wrigleyville area, please let me know. But that was tough to see.
It's just
Spin Zone Packers play Bears that weekend, so could be money used elsewhere for a hopefully better game.
You made a good point when we were talking about planning it this week that the negative is if it was at Ohio State or if it was at Northwestern's regular stadium we're probably leaving at halftime anyways. So is it
Yeah,
really worth
probably gonna
it?
be a
You're going to this game specifically because you're at Wrigley Field, you're watching Ohio
lot.
State, like that's why. But like you said, we did say Sunday, Packers Bears, way better. You have other stuff you can do that weekend. So, but if anybody's looking for tickets to sell for less than that, we're very much interested. So please let us know. So
Yes, for sure.
that's
I may try and scalp him outside the stadium. It
ooh.
for anybody coming into town. We'll probably be in Wrigleyville anyways. It's close enough to my apartment that that's
Also, if
probably
you're
easy
a
to do.
current Ohio State student listening to this, like Jake Sharber or his friends that listen, and you want to buy an
Yes.
away game ticket, please let us know as well, and we will pay the student prices and pay you that. So please let us know. Give us
W. Yes,
give,
please.
give us an update on that. My right side so far this week is I'm gonna go out to San Francisco this weekend. Like you said earlier about busy season, yes, I'm going to travel. I am working on Friday a little bit, so I'm not taking the full day off. But Friday through or Thursday night through Sunday, I'll be in San Francisco. Pretty excited for it. Going to see Will Jones, who has been bugging the crap out of me to be on the podcast. But maybe if he'll call me,
Uh,
maybe if he call me back and can help me plan some stuff, he can be on this week. But gonna do that. Also worked out that we were going out there for a concert on Saturday, seeing Martin Garrix. That's gonna be pretty exciting.
nice.
And then we were
Yeah.
looking to see if the Giants were home. Come to find out when we were looking in February that the Angels, unfortunately for us, we have to see them again. But the Angels are gonna be in San Francisco that weekend. So we get to go to Oracle Park, AT&T, see a game, go to a Giants game, go to a concert, go out in San Francisco. So looking forward to that. Wrong side though, pretty busy week up until then. Got an exam on Wednesday. Not looking forward to that. Hate the CPA exams, but gonna give it another shot and audit. So going for that one and gonna see from there. But definitely gonna have to, just like Hawaii and just like Italy, we're earning those vacations and definitely have to
Yes.
earn those trips. So that's gonna be my week. Gonna be a busy week. Client site tomorrow. So definitely looking forward to that. But a lot of good on the horizon. So looking
Yeah.
forward to that.
Wrong side that you're going to be gone when Meg's here,
Wrong
but
side,
that sounds like
yeah.
a great
Wrong
trip.
side. I
Yeah.
did warn her when she got the thing, and I think she's got some golf plan with Jake, and so my
Oh,
parents
hell
are
yeah.
gonna take her to some
Hell yeah.
good restaurants, so that'll be fun for her. But that's pretty much it. Do you want to tease anything for next week? Talk about anything like that?
Yeah, let's do it. Looking ahead next week, an interview I'm very excited about. Tyler Snap graduated high school with him, played ball at Iowa for a few years, has an extensive injury history. Going to talk to him about adversity through that. Ended up kind of medically retiring and is now coaching for the Red Sox high A team. So a really kind of interesting path. Someone I really admire, someone who has worked hard, had some stuff happen to him and has still continued to work hard doing what he loves. So very excited about this interview coming up. That's what we have going ahead. And yeah, I'm very excited about it.
I will say we are interested. If you guys are listening, we have been doing well. We're almost at 200 followers on Instagram. Please keep subscribing on YouTube. Please keep liking on YouTube. We're still trying to grow. We know we're still in the beginning stages, but if anybody is interested, we are in the looks of a social media coordinator and person that can help us out. We are not great at social media. We know we can do better, but we would love someone to help us out. So if you have history or experience, obviously it would be kind of a hobby thing to help us out. We obviously are not the most financial stable for a podcast right now, but we are looking for someone. And if you have a lot of social media help or contacts that can help us, please let us know so we can continue to grow, put out great content, maybe do other things. I really did appreciate people filling out the form for college football.
Yes.
Looking forward to that.
Yes.
That's in our link tree now, so go out and look at that. Please keep listening. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. Thank you guys for listening to episode 14. We roll on. Have a good week.
Stay blessed.